Welcome to Cohesive Friendship Unit. My name is Chris. I'm here with Jake,
Hey guys.
Jeremy,
What's up?
and Brian.
What's going on?
This is one of my favorite videos of the year, guys. It's our Game of the Year video. Our Game of the Year 2019 video. I loved Game of the Year growing up, and I still love it. It's fun. It's fun. For me, at least. I don't know. And we're gonna do this in three questions. It's the same three questions for the last 2 years. If you guys want to check out our 2018 and 2017 Game of the Year awards, there's going to be timestamps in the description. The first one is, what was your 2019 Game of the Year? What game that came out in 2019 was your favorite? The next is, what is your favorite game that you played in 2019? So that could just be any game. That's your time to shout out a game that you played if you want that didn't come out this year. Totally optional. The third is, what games did you miss out on? So when people go to Jake and they say, man, Jake, why didn't you put Sekiro as your game of the year? He might say, I really wanted to play Sekiro, but I didn't get a chance to play it. And those are the three questions. And before we get into it, we're going to be announcing a giveaway at the end of this video. So yeah, but that's when our giveaway will be announced. It'll also be on the community tab. All you gotta do is be subscribed. We would love your sub. If you sub us, love us, or if you love us,
What?
sub us.
No.
And yeah, if you like the video, throw us a like. Let us know your game of the year down below. Okay, Jake.
Yeah.
Question 1: what was your favorite 2019 video game?
So this one was actually surprisingly easy for me. And it was a Switch game. And I don't know if it was my favorite probably partially because of my love for the entire series, but my favorite game for 2019 was Fire Emblem Three Houses. And that game, we've done a video on it, Chris. It is an amazing Fire Emblem game, so I'm not going to elaborate more than I need to on why this game is so good. But I think they executed every aspect of Fire Emblem to the best they could, and it really came through. I will admit that after the 60, 70, 80 hour mark that I got to, I started to slow down. It took me about a month before I came back and actually finished the game. I had about 2 missions left, but overall I absolutely loved the game. I don't have any problem with coming back to a game later. Actually, after I came back, beat the game, I am now currently in my second playthrough playing for the Blue Eagles right now. I just love that game. Fantastic.
I'm so glad you picked that game. I love that game.
It's so good.
It's so good. I'm so happy. I second everything you said. That game slaps. I have a feeling I'm going to talk about it a little bit later, so I'm gonna keep my mouth shut on that.
Yeah, I got a lot of good things to say about it, but we elaborated a lot in our previous video. So if you want to hear more, check it out there.
Yeah, we did a dual review, which is pretty rare.
Yeah,
we did a co-op review on that. No, that's awesome. Jeremy and Brian didn't play Three Houses, but I don't know if you guys have anything to say about it. I know Jeremy's at least played some Fire Emblem though.
I have.
But you haven't played Three Houses, right? Does this? I don't know. You vibing with this? Game at all? Just from what you've seen?
I think I've said before that I actually really liked. The only game I've played through was, oh for fuck's sake, was it Awakening, Chris?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really liked Awakening. I beat it on the real difficulty. And I enjoyed it a lot, but then I tried
real
playing
difficulty.
Yeah, because I'm not a fucking infant. And then I tried to play Conquest, and I just couldn't get into it. And so I've been skeptical about going back to a Fire Emblem game because my feeling all along was I've seen all there is to see in a Fire Emblem game. You guys have spoken really highly about this, so if I get the chance, I'd like to try it out. I just haven't had the time yet.
Yeah, I think this takes Fire Emblem up a quite a big notch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I don't think, Brian, this is your cup of tea. I think
probably not.
I think you would really like the gameplay, but I do not think you would like anything else about the game. But that's
No,
fine. It's just you.
for listening to you guys talk about it, I would tend to agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you would like the older games because they are more gameplay. There's a lot of extra stuff that they throw into Three Houses that I really enjoyed because it elaborates on like characters and that kind of thing. But a lot of the older games where I came from, they're pretty much all gameplay.
Yeah. Yeah, you like taking everyone out to tea. I get it, Jake.
Yeah, that's what I do, man.
And yeah, okay, last thing I'll say before we move on. That game's scope is just ridiculous how big that game is. Because realistically, there are over 3 unique stories that you can complete. Like,
Yeah.
the theoretical combinations of things that can happen is insane in that game.
Yeah, and I'm only a couple hours into my second playthrough, and it's already pretty different.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Multiple playthroughs, damn.
No, this is like a 4 playthrough game if you want to see everything.
and it's like 80 hours of
And
playthrough,
it's-
so it's a time sink.
And they don't get much shorter each one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big game. All right, Jeremy, what was your favorite game of 2019?
My favorite game. So I didn't play a ton of games released in 2019. I played more new games on the Switch this year, all of which were good. But probably my favorite game released in 2019 has been The Outer Worlds, which is not super surprising. It's not a game that I've been totally floored by, but it's a game I've enjoyed quite a bit. It has, as I've said quite a few times on the channel, really strong character development, particularly of your companions, which is great. Even in other good RPGs, I haven't always seen the sort of depth of personality and character that you get through these companions, especially if you complete their companion quests. I enjoy the faction system. I enjoy the moral universe that's created. It's a thoughtful game. The combat isn't terrible overall. So I think there are a lot of things to like about Outer Worlds. If you are a Fallout fan, you know about this game, you've played this game, it's a good game.
I think Jake was really hot on this game.
Yeah, I also really liked it, and I think, again, Outer Worlds is the best implementation of what you would expect from a quote-unquote Fallout RPG. I think they did it better than any of the others. It's a fun game. I got most of the way through it and didn't finish it because, honestly, there was a ton of games coming in, so I had to drop it, but I do hope to pick it up again once things calm down a bit, and I'll probably pick up Game Pass again just to finish it. But I loved it. Love that game.
It's a good one. I would still give the nod to New Vegas. They're really similar games. I think New Vegas still constructs the world that's kind of put there, and what you're able to do with it is a little more interesting to me than everything I've seen so far in the Outer Worlds. I'm not quite done. My gaming time as of late has been limited, but a very good game that third-person shooter RPG fans could definitely enjoy.
And I was a little less hot on this game, but I can still respect a lot of what it does and what it did. I do think that the dialogue is strong, and the pathing in your dialogue is strong. The way you can complete quests is varied. I particularly highlighted that I was very impressed that you can just annihilate the main quest. You can disrespect the hell out of the main quest. If someone gives you an objective, you can just kill them. Like, no bars, no foul. Like, just blast them away. The quest will still continue. There will be a way to continue that story. I think there's only one character, I believe, in the game that you cannot kill. I could be wrong on that, but it's very, very few. I do respect that a lot about that game.
It does give you a pretty significant sense of freedom in the way that you approach things, particularly, again, as you said, from a storytelling point of view.
Cool. Brian.
What?
What's your 2019 game of the year?
I'd probably have to say Risk of Rain.
Hell yeah.
And for a variety, like it definitely has replay appeal. It has that like the element that Smash and Rocket League both kind of have, where it does not, the game itself really isn't that much, but playing it is a lot of fun, even though most of the time you're losing. Like, that's the end product of you playing the game 90% of the time is you lose. Because there can only be one winner, and in Risk of Rain, it's usually the computer. But I think that it's one of those games that's still not really appreciated as much as it could be. So if you haven't gotten it yet, you should get it. In terms of favorite game I played this year, like I didn't.
Well, hold on. We're gonna start with Risk of Rain 2. We're gonna do rounds. Okay,
yeah. Sorry.
But no, Risk of Rain 2, that game is so good. I'm also glad that you said that. I'm glad that Fire Emblem and Risk of Rain got rep there. Risk of Rain 2 is so good, Brian. And I think there is a lot of roguelikes in the indie scene and a lot of roguelikes in general that are being released. And Risk of Rain did two really cool things. They made a roguelike in 3D, which is pretty rare, and then they made a roguelike that's multiplayer, which is also really rare, and I think both of those work just so well.
Well, yeah, and it's kind of an obvious conclusion, right? You know, like it's a genre that hasn't necessarily made that step, but the technology is there to make. Like, this is like
exactly.
It's still like what, a 3-man team.
Yeah, it's like 3 guys making it. Yeah.
So, like, obviously the technology's there. It's just good for them for putting 2 and 2 together and making something that's actually, like, it's as much fun as you could possibly have being beaten over the head with a pipe. Like, it's just gonna hand it to you, and you're gonna keep coming back for more, which is a sign of good game design. There you go.
Absolutely. That game runs so well, which I feel like a lot of people would be concerned about with the 3D game, small early access game. And we've played quite a few early access games, and
we've had like 2 or 3 problems between the 4 of us. Like, it never crashes.
It's a fantastic game. So much fun.
Yeah, and I think between the 4 of us, we've probably put 500 plus hours in this year.
Easily.
In that game. Easily. Yeah. Jeremy, you played a lot of Risk of Rain.
Yup.
What do you think about it? What do you think about Brian's choice?
It's a good game.
It's a good
you
game.
should play it. I will say, at least for me, and I think for Brian as well, there was a bit of an aesthetic hurdle coming in. It doesn't. It's an indie game, so like there's not a lot of polish, and it's not like a super popular game. But genuinely, if you're listening to this show, like, it's not expensive. If you have friends that you'd like to play with online, it is a terrific roguelike. Really, really fun in the multiplayer setting. Really good.
Awesome.
So much variety in the playable characters too. Like, they're so different.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like that's what really got me over the kind of aesthetic thing. Was like, oh, you're a guy and you run around and you shoot things, and like you get to shoot the things and open the boxes, and immediately like the gameplay just kind of kicks in.
And I think that's where, like, being a 3-dimensional roguelike as opposed to some of the other really famous ones, compared to, like, say, Binding of Isaac, the game allows itself to be more different than even some of the characters that you have, like in Isaac, that you can unlock. Like, the difference between the Cosmonaut and Rex is, like, stupendous. They are entirely different play styles.
Right, or if you're more into like the type of game where you have to be up close to someone, like fighting them with a sword, they have characters that do, and the characters are all more or less balanced. You're not going to be at a significant disadvantage because you like shooting versus like punching people or hitting people with swords.
I love that every character focuses on a very niche part of the game as a whole. Like, Rex is very focused on health. Someone like Mercenary is very focused on like invincibility frames. Someone like
Huntress is focused on DPS and crits.
Yeah, very. Just it causes you to, if you get mastery of all the characters, you get a full, very, very deep, thorough, thoughtful understanding of the inner workings of the game.
you
Loader
ascend
is
to
focused
another
on
level.
kicking ass.
Well, and like just with the aesthetic stuff, like even if you don't, if at first it's kind of jarring, but like you appreciate the little things, like how as you're accumulating the items, like they show up on your back or whatever, and if you're the engineer, like all your turrets have the same little, like just kind of, it's just really fluff, but it's that kind of not really even refinement, but
Polish.
attention to detail that makes it really stand out, especially for a team that's as small as they are.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Well, my game of the year, I, as always, was torn between two games. Fire Emblem Three Houses was one of them. I mean, I'll just say that game is so good. The soundtrack is absolutely fantastic. The story is pretty solid. The voice acting is actually really good for, especially considering just how many characters and how many lines are voice acted. And the gameplay is super fun. My go-to story on Fire Emblem Three Houses was there was one day where I played it for 3 hours, or sorry, not 3, 12 hours straight. I went to bed. I dreamed about the game like all night. Like I had very vivid dreams of like playing the game and doing strategies and whatever. I woke up and I immediately started playing it again and played it again for like 12 hours. That's like how this game gets its hooks into you, which I think is pretty telling of how it's a good game. Not my game of the year, unfortunately. I went with the first Strand type game. I'm giving my game of the year to Death Stranding, which I'm sure we'll have something to say about.
Ooh.
It kind of seems like hot trash.
So Death Stranding.
Whoa.
My reasoning behind it, I have a 25-minute review about Death Stranding. It evokes a reaction, which for sure, and I understand that and I respect that. I think that's kind of a good thing that it evokes reaction. It had the courage to do something radically different, and I'd say for the most part really succeeded in it. And it did 100% change the like my actual day-to-day behaviors, which is weird. And even my girlfriend pointed that out, not knowing about Death Stranding. She was like, "You're doing like this, that, and the other thing different." I was like, "You're right, I am." There's
He
a
was
reason for that.
stranding way more.
So I guess what I'm saying is the game had an actual impact on how I behave and how I think and how I work, and I beat it about a month ago now. So it's at least short term, it's going strong, and I think it's worth it. It's worth everyone to check out. I'm giving it to Death Stranding, first Strand type game, Chris's game of the year.
So I have also been playing it because, Chris, you were kind enough to lend me your PlayStation for a little bit, and I've been cruising through that game. It is so much longer than I thought it was going to be. And to be honest, I was skeptical because it is obviously a walking simulator to the fullest extent of that genre. But there's a lot more to it, and something about it grabbed me, and I'm still not sure what it is because I have been super into that game. And not to get too far ahead of myself, but that I was going to mention Death Stranding on my grab bag of favorite games I played this year. Something about that game is just a ton of fun. I still don't know what it is, but it's super addictive.
And I would argue that a lot of this... So I very specifically remember being on the couch while I was finishing this game at like 3:30 in the morning, thinking to myself, this is not my game of the year. And it's just like sunk its teeth into me, and has just stayed with me, and I've just been thinking about it and thinking about what it's trying to say, which I can't say for a lot of games. It also does something that I really appreciate with games where the gameplay consciously makes you... It uses video games as a medium in a way that most video games don't. Most video games basically tell a story like in the form of a movie where you watch cutscenes and then you play the video game, which is the game. This actually uses the fact that it's a video game to go a step further, which I really respect. And I mean, that's for sure. So, Strands. Strand type game.
Strands, man.
Jeremy, Brian, you wanna come at me?
No, I haven't played it. It sounds interesting. I would play it if I had a PlayStation.
We joke about it a lot.
Yeah,
off
it's
of
it's
this.
just fun to bust nuts.
it is fun to bust on Death Stranding. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I haven't played it, but like it kind of sounds like it's obtuse for the sake of being obtuse and hoping that someone will think that it's deep, which, you know, works, but like you have to piss in the same place as other people, and that like that builds community. Like I don't get that.
Yeah,
It's just not. It's not my thing.
So I'm kind of with you. I will say I'm only halfway, just about halfway through the game, so I don't know how the game ends, and if the story wraps up in some miraculous way, I don't know it yet. But so far, I mean, I am definitely not a Kojima fanboy at all, so I don't really give him any credit right out of the gate for deep gameplay or deep story. There's a lot of cringy things that go on in this game that I do have gripes about, so I wouldn't. I think there's a lot that stands in the way that is an artifact of just Kojima being Kojima, but there's still something, despite all the things that are talked about in the coverage of this game. There's still something that grabbed me and makes me want to keep playing this game.
and I fully acknowledge that this is not a flawless game. I am giving it credit for doing something different, going out there and largely succeeding in that, in some ways being very unique in what it's doing. Yeah, so I fully admit that it is not perfect, but Death Stranding. All right, what about just your favorite game that you played? Well, let's go in reverse order. Personally, my favorite game that I played in 2019, so again, this doesn't necessarily have to have come out this year, just the favorite game that we personally played, mine is still going to be Death Stranding, so I don't really have further answers for this. But Brian, did you have another game that you want to shout out that didn't come out this year?
Kerbal Space Program, because
Hell yeah.
they came out with an update that I think we talked about this, or I talked about this. It added a lot of features that just kind of made the game easier for everyone that had previously only been like mods and add-ons. So
You excited for 2?
yeah, I am excited for 2, and
Nice.
that's gonna be a deep addiction period. 'Cause I had forgotten how bad that can get, and then it's like 2 a.m. and you have to get up for work at 7.
It do be like that.
Yeah, it's not good.
It do be like that. I think we've all at least dabbled in Kerbal Space Program and acknowledge
It's good, dude.
the
It's good. The
limitless depth, really.
the physics, which is all that was also a small dev. They're not so small now, but and fun fact for you, if anybody's like, nobody from Mexico has ever made a video game. They're a
Kerbal
Mexican
Space
dev.
Program. Yep.
That's where they started out. So there you go. Fun facts.
All right, Jake, am I doing this reverse? No, Jeremy.
No.
What's,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Damn.
What is do you have another game you want to shout out that didn't come out this
Yes.
year?
This
I
was
know what it
easy.
is. Yeah.
What is it?
Oh, it's Hollow Knight.
It is fucking Hollow Knight. That game is so good.
Yay.
That shit ate my whole fucking summer. All I did all summer long was sit in my beanbag and play Hollow Knight, and it was amazing. That game is so good. You think the map, you think you've seen the whole map, and then there's a whole other area that you haven't even seen. I played it for 100 hours. I probably have at least 30 hours still to do in the game. And that's without like doing insane, extreme difficulty, perfect ending stuff. Like, it is just so good. The combat is so tight. The visuals are so beautiful. Again, this is a game that everyone already likes, so people know this. But if it's 2020 and you still have not played Hollow Knight, get it on Switch, get it on PC, get it on a different platform, and play it, because it is very, very, very good.
Nice. I mean, I'm going to fully admit that I was recording some Hollow Knight footage for this / another video that's coming out shortly after this. and I didn't want to stop playing it. Like I got my footage and I was like, all right, I can stop. I'm probably gonna start pretty soon because I was liking it when I was getting the footage. I was like, I kind of want to keep going.
It's extremely good, and the beginning is a little slower because your move set is very limited as you start out.
Yeah, you don't have the dash or anything.
Dude, you don't have. You'll see. There's all kinds of things you get to do, and it is fabulous.
Did you play Hollow Knight, Jake?
I'm about 3 to 6 hours in and then ended up dropping it. And this is a poor excuse, but the reason I dropped it is because I have a shitty GameStop controller that I've not wanted to play it on. So it's on my backlog of fantastic games I need to play.
Once I get an Xbox One
Once
controller.
I get an Xbox controller.
It is truly excellent.
Nice. All right. Nice.
The lore.
Well, the new one's probably coming out in 2020.
That is my most anticipated game of next year.
Nice.
It is the only unreleased game on my Steam wish list.
That's a video we could do. All right, Jake, what about you? You got any games?
I do. I have a bunch. So I mentioned I have like a grab bag, and I'm going to go quick because we mentioned a lot of my favorite games, Death Stranding, Outer Worlds, Fire Emblem. Loved all of those games. I'm going to give a shout out to Destiny 2, which I could say came out this year. It had its rebirth on Steam, which I still love Destiny 2. And I love New Light with all the additional free content that came out. But my absolute favorite game I played this year was Risk of Rain 2.
Hell yeah.
And I won't go too much into it because we have talked about that game quite a bit.
All right, awesome. Great. And I think if you had to ask us all, because again, to get all four of us to play one game is kind of rare because we all have different tastes, we all have different interests, and like it's just unusual. I would say if we all got together and really picked, we would say Risk of Rain 2 is probably Cohesive Friendship Unit's game of the year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. In that case, we're going to give away a copy of Risk of Rain 2 on your platform of choice. We're going to do it at 2,250 subs. So all I got to do is be subscribed. That's going to be in the community post, but there you go. We're giving away a copy of Risk of Rain 2.
Wait, 2,250?
Yeah, we're...
Holy shit.
I know, right? It do be like that.
We're getting there, dude.
Getting where? All right, so the last question, and I guess we'll go top down again, is any games that you missed that came out this year that you are particularly interested in? Obviously, don't say every game that you missed this year, but if there's something that kind of appeals to your taste that you missed out on, just throw it out. Jake, we'll start with you and we'll go through.
All right, I had 3. I'll go quick. Borderlands 3. I love Borderlands. I still plan to get it. I think that's a game that actually all of us will enjoy, so I will probably be pushing that on the friendship unit very soon. Sekiro. I mean, I love Dark Souls games. I wish I could have played it. I just didn't have the time. I still haven't played Dark Souls 3, so I'll probably play that before I get Sekiro. And then my slightly unique game that I missed is actually DLC. Vermintide 2, Winds of Magic.
This guy.
I've heard crappy things about it, but I love Vermintide 2. I love the Beastmen. This update adds in the Beastmen to Vermintide 2, and I want to play it so badly. But I can't get myself past the negative reviews, so I'm going to give it some time.
All right. Jeremy, go.
I have 2 missed connections. The first is Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, I think.
Yeah,
looks fun. Gonna play it. Second is Disco Elysium, a game that kind of blew up over the past month, including for me. Another anti-capitalist sci-fi RPG that looks pretty cool.
I like their Craigslist shout out.
What is Craigslist?
You said miss. Oh, okay, never mind.
Oh, well, I was thinking like old. Yeah, I was thinking like old fucking newspapers.
Oh, fair enough. All right, Brian, any games that you missed out on that came out this year that you were interested in?
Not specifically, no. I mean, like, I'm broke, so I don't buy video games, like, at all. I think I bought like 2 games this year. I spent like $30 this year on games.
Nice.
So,
well, but was there any that you like tickled your fancy a little bit?
I mean, not particularly, because
All right.
again, I'm not buying them, so there's no sense in getting your
Fair.
hopes up.
And getting your hopes up. Fair enough. I can respect that.
You wait for them to go on sale. It's the same game 2 years later. You know.
Yeah. No, you're right. I feel that. I have a couple. No particular order. Disco Elysium is on my list only because it was rated so high, but I don't think it's a game for me.
I don't think we love it.
Yeah, it's like one of those things where like if it fell into my lap, I would check it out, but I don't think I would pay for it just because I don't think it's my cup of tea. Sekiro is kind of the same situation. I've tried Dark Souls games, not really my cup of tea, which is why Star Wars Fallen Order is on my list, because I heard it's basically a more accessible Dark Souls with elements of like Tomb Raider, Uncharted, games that I know I like. So I actually do think I would like that, and that game is like firmly on my list. And the last game I have is Outer Wilds, which is an indie game on Game Pass, among other platforms now, where it's like a very miniaturized exploration, No Man's Sky-esque, but very, very compact, very small, story-driven. It looks cool, and a lot of people have been giving it a lot of kudos. So Outer Wilds, I do plan on playing that in the next couple months. Cool. That's our Game of the Year video, guys. We're good. That looks good. Brian had Risk of Rain 2. I had Death Stranding. Jake had Fire Emblem Three Houses. And Jeremy had
The Outer Worlds.
The Outer Worlds. That's a good year for games in my book.
It was alright.
A good year.
And we're giving away a copy of Risk of Rain 2. So what should our fans of the channel be doing right now, Brian?
Well, you know, they could let us know their thoughts about Game of the Year and whatnot, because I'm sure opinions differ from what we've stated here, and they may differ in a way that makes people upset. So if you have any ire about our choices, go ahead and direct that ire down towards the word box there. And like Chris said, we are giving away a copy of Risk of Rain 2, which we can't stop talking about, I guess. So if you want to see what all the hype's about, go ahead and click that sub button, because you might be finding a fresh Steam code there in your whatever inbox you're choosing to use. And you know, if you watch this far in the video, you probably liked it. And smoke them if you get them, guys. That's all for me tonight, Chris.
Thank you, Brian. Catch you guys next time.